Welcome to The American Story. Stories about all the things that make America the country we know and love. Thank you for subscribing to the American Story podcast on your favorite podcast app, leaving a 5-star review on that app, and sharing these stories with family, friends, and neighbors. Thanks to you, we are reaching more listeners every week. This is Chris Flannery with the Claremont Institute. I call this one 9/11. 20 years have come and gone since September 11, 2001 became 9/11. Practically all Americans over the age of 10 at the time remember where they were when they learned about the events that gave that day its name. Some 80 million Americans living today had not yet arrived 20 years ago. They were born into a world in which a global war on terror was so familiar it had a well-recognized acronym, GWOT, GWOT. 9/11 had achieved an established meaning in the American language. They would have to read history books or hear the recollections of parents and grandparents to learn what the experience at American airports was like before 9/11. Their government had a new department, the Department of Homeland Security, that would seem like an old department to them, part of the established order of things. They would learn the basic facts. On September 11, 2001, Islamic terrorists hijacked 4 planes and flew 2 of them into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York, another into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. And because of heroic American civilians who interfered with them, crashed the 4th into a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. These attacks killed nearly 3,000 people and caused considerable destruction. They would become familiar with solemn rituals commemorating these events annually. On this date, many Americans now display the American flag on their homes. At national, state, and local government buildings, the flag is often flown at half-staff as a mark of respect for those who died in the attacks. Some communities, particularly in the areas directly affected by the attacks, hold special church services or prayer meetings. Others have adopted the custom of observing a moment of silence at 8:46 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is when 5 terrorists flew the first plane, American Airlines Flight 11, into the North Tower of the World Trade Center, the beginning of a shocking and disorienting hour in American history. At 9:03 a.m., 5 terrorists flew the second plane, United Airlines Flight 175, into the World Trade Center South Tower. At 9:37, 5 terrorists flew the third plane, American Airlines Flight 77, into the Pentagon. At 9:59, the World Trade Center South Tower collapsed. At 10:28, the World Trade Center North Tower collapsed. These are all records of something that was done to us. We remember them as we remember Pearl Harbor. But as these events unfolded, at 10:03, the 4th plane, United Airlines Flight 93, crashed into that field in Pennsylvania. This was a record of Americans beginning to respond, when a group of passengers said a prayer, held a vote, and took matters into their own hands, with those soon-to-be famous last recorded words of Todd Beamer, "Let's roll." So it is a day both for mourning victims and for honoring heroes, those on Flight 93 and the many civilians and first responders who risked and gave their lives trying to save others. We can't mourn adequately without the honoring, and we can't honor adequately without resolving according to our capacities to be heroes ourselves when needed. Among the heroes of that day are some that I, at least, didn't learn about until long after the event, the heroes of what came to be called the Great Boatlift of 9/11. To begin to understand this great boatlift, it helps to remember that Manhattan really is an island, and that when the Twin Towers collapsed, hundreds of thousands of people were trapped on that island. Tunnels, subways, bridges, all were shut down. The only way out of Manhattan was by boat. In the midst of chaos, uncertain what was happening to their city and their country, thousands of people began making their way to water's edge at the tip of the island. Almost immediately, nearby ferries acting on individual initiative began loading passengers. Seeing these spontaneous civilian efforts, the Coast Guard put out a radio call to all available boats to report to Governor's Island to help with the evacuation. Over the next 8 hours, more than 800 mariners on 125 vessels responded. Ferries, water taxis, private and party craft, tugboats, evacuating over 300,000 people in the largest sea evacuation in history. When it was over, a common reaction of those who participated in the evacuation was that it was a great honor. Some said it was the most important thing they had done in their lives. They were glad they were there when they were needed. In the course of human events, as America has been reminded in 2020 and 2021, hard times will come. Good people become heroes in hard times. Let's keep that in mind in these times as we remember 9/11. Thanks for being part of the American Story. This is Chris Flannery with the Claremont Institute. I encourage you to visit our website, theamericanstorypodcast.org, to learn more about these stories and how you might support them. That's theamericanstorypodcast.org.